everyone. Thank you so much for signing up for the email course and coming to vibe with us with this quick video, just to give you a quick introduction into what we've been working on. I'm so excited to first let me say I am Jasmine Jacobs, the founder of Black Remote She. Thank you so much for all of your support in the community. I'm really excited to launch this email series with my amazing business mentor, friend, and partner in business and in this email series, Joe. Thank you so much for joining. The founder of the Early Manager and all of the other titles that you have. I would love for you to give a quick introduction for yourself too.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I'm an executive coach. I was a marketer and a journalist for 14 or so years. And I work with, new managers and new leaders, folks who are kind of leading a team for the first time. And for the last 3 years, I've also supported some kind of volunteer basis, like job search boot camps. And so part of the conversation that we're going to engage in with folks today, and a lot of the materials that we've done kind of come from hard-earned, hard-won knowledge. This is not stuff that's just we made it up in a classroom for fun. This is stuff that we learned kind of on the run with folks. So yeah, really excited to be here. Thanks for having me and excited to be part of it.
Awesome. Yes. And I, of course, if you're here, Black Remote She, but just to give you a little more background on why I started this platform, I really wanted to create a community-based job platform specifically for Black folks that are in the community that identify as queer, trans, non-binary, gender non-conforming, and folks that are allied to us, for us to be connected to inclusive remote work. I personally started my remote work journey years ago, and at the time, many Black and brown folks around me, my family, friends, peers, mentors, were not familiar with remote work. And I started in freelancing and wanted to really have my own flexibility in how I manage my hours, how I did my work, really how I learned to get into marketing communications. I self-taught myself and used freelancing as a way to actually build a portfolio. And so from that, ended up getting a position as a director of communications later on in life, and connected with a lot of amazing folks in the Solidarity Economy, New Economy Coalition, the Radical Communicators Network led by the Movement for Black Lives, and saw all of these amazing organizations doing awesome work and creating good work cultures that are focused for us, built by us, built with us. And I really wanted to share that with people that I knew personally. And it just kind of expanded from there. I started as a YouTube channel wanting to just talk about my experience, and then launched the Black Remote She website in February 2020, right before everything happened with the pandemic. And it just became something that folks were knowledgeable about. And people were looking for remote work that could be inclusive. Folks were done with dealing with work cultures that were not centering them. And I just landed right there in the middle to connect people to that work. So I'm really excited. It's been over 2 years, and Black Remote She, the demand is here. People are wanting to be connected to inclusive remote work. We're no longer accepting anything else. And it's just really exciting to see the growth that it's had so far. So thank you for all of the support. It's so appreciated. And Joe, your background is amazing. I love it. I've been a fan for so long. So this is just really exciting to be working on this.
Yeah, I love that. I think the energy you bring to it is always so important and so welcome. And, that's a great, I think that's a great kind of baseline that we set for this course. Because you and I have talked about energy as we've been kind of developing it together, being in the right place, being in the right headspace, being in the right heart space, being consistent, which is something I admire about your work. And as we kind of get through these first few days with folks who are, as you go through this course, we're going to be talking a lot about that piece, be in the right place, be in that kind of right mind, and be consistent, right? And not just showing up, but showing up for you as a job seeker, as a whole person who, to the point you just made, Jasmine, who wants to be in a place where you're valued and appreciated. You're not just putting up with some stuff like we've all been in jobs in the past. So I love that. I think that baseline that you just said is fantastic.
Yeah. And consistency is definitely key. I think and this is where career alignment really ties in. You want things to align with who you are and the things that you believe in. And that's often why Black Remote She shares mission aligned work, because oftentimes we're just driven by passion. And that's why the annual survey asks you, you know, what are you passionate about doing? Because I think when you approach your job search with that passion, it really allows you to be consistent throughout your path. Like, you won't take just anything. You know what you want. You're building confidence. You're going into it with confidence, and you know exactly what you're looking for. And you'll know if the vibe is off. Like, if you're really in it, you're centering yourself, you're coming into your job search grounded, you'll know when the vibes are off. You'll know if their energy just isn't aligning. And you can stand up for yourself and really say, like, no, this isn't for me. But also you can catch the energy when it really flows and it feels connected. To know that something is for you, to know if it's worth applying, worth the time and energy that you're putting into it, because you're sharing that with them. They're trying to get so many things out of you, but you're sharing your energy with them, and you want to make sure it's worth it, for sure.
Love that. Yeah, that's spot on. And I think that's a great place to kind of ground people for our first kind of, like, I guess maybe pro tips to get started, right? Because this is day one. We're super excited to have you all on board. I'm not going to lie, there's some work ahead. There's going to be some hard work ahead, but, you know, as you always say, Jasmine, like, you're worth it, right? It's an investment in you as a job seeker and a person. Yeah, I mean, would you share a little bit about, because we're going to kind of both talk a little about sort of tips and resources that you want to have on tap throughout that process. Would you share a little bit about maybe kind of, because you've been through the job search, now you're like helping other people go through that process. Like, what things do you typically have on tap for yourself to keep you grounded? What are the tools and the resources that you use? And of course, we'll talk about a few of them, but I think it's just good for people to hear it from you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think, like, and this is also why Black Remote She has so many combination of things, but I think being clear about what you're looking for is the first step. Like, if you're in a position where you have work and you're fine with it, you like it, but you're looking for something additional, or you're starting a business like me, because I've been there, you're looking for a side hustle, you're looking for something part-time, you're looking for a contract, or you're fully looking for a 9-to-5 job, it's important to know what you're looking for when you go into it, so that you're not just applying for everything. So I think being able to be clear about the type of position you're looking for, and then going after, like, the way that I have the Black Remote She website set up is to have qualifications, because I think it's important for you to say, like, oh, this is my background, but maybe it's a job title that you weren't familiar with. And especially folks that are trying to have a career transition and they're like, here's my background, but this is more so what I'm trying to do with it. When you can see that, like, this is the qualifications of this position really aligned with what I've been doing and what I'm looking to continue to do, and the skills that I'm looking to show in this particular work culture, it really helps to go into that with confidence and know, like, this is a position I want to apply for. And maybe that's something different than what you thought you were looking for originally. I think looking at what the job is asking for and knowing that you have that skill set is important too.
Yeah, love that. I think the clarity piece it all starts from that. And, you know, I mentioned I've run this job search boot camp for about 3 years. If you know what you want, everything gets easier. It doesn't mean everybody's going to be on that boat with you, right? Taking the journey that you've decided to take across that big ocean of job seeking. But the clarity allows you to let go of people that are not there with you, right? They're not, whether they're an employer and they're not on that same track that you want to be, they're not creating a fair, equitable workplace. Maybe there are other job seekers and they're in a very high anxiety place. We have empathy for that, but you want to be in a place of, you know, clarity and consistency. And I think that, you know, it makes a big difference. And, you know, the other thing about it too is, I think, you know, you're kind of acknowledging, I think it's important for us to acknowledge in that clarity piece, like, you're going to be ups and downs in the road, right? You know, over the next 7 days, we're going to be providing a bunch of different kinds of really hands-on, intensive, like, here's how you do it, practical things. In the job search, it can take time, right, to absorb and work through different phases of it. And you may find as you go through it that you need to go back and rewind a little bit, right? Totally normal. Oh, wow. It turns out maybe my clarity is that as I'm going through the process, realize that I want to go for something different than what I thought. That's okay. You may have to go back and rework that, right? Get your positioning down, things like that. And so I think that's certainly one of the kind of number one tips that I have for people is, like, being flexible and just understanding you're going to have to kind of shift and flex to achieve that clarity. it's really important to be open to that, because it's not always going to be an easy process.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't judge yourself for that. Like, it's totally okay if you start off with your job search looking for something specific and you find that you're not having success in that space, and you have to switch it up a little bit, whether that's for like you're actually in the process of interviewing with folks and you realize like, okay, what you're asking me to do isn't exactly what I thought I would be doing. And it's okay to actually stop in that process and reevaluate. And I think that's the cool thing about all of the resources in the email course. There are a lot of spaces where you're actually making notes on what you're looking for and exactly what you need. So you can go back to that and reevaluate and actually look at what you've already worked on, the notes you've already made, what you're looking for, and be able to actually see like what is fitting as you go through the process. Because we're in the email course, we're going through the process of the job search from start to finish. So if you're having to go back to the beginning, it's totally fine.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a great tip. And, give yourself the grace to kind of know that like your job search is going to be different from each other person's job search. And that's a good thing. And, I think that's also kind of a good reminder for another little thing that we talked about when we were preparing to kind of do this sort of day one intro is, making sure that you have enough resources on tap to go through that process. And I always tell people, I'm like, don't rely on one thing, right? Because sometimes we get that thing, it works really well, it's a crutch, whether it's, a certain friend that you can always bend that ear, or it's a family member, or it's an online course, whatever it might be. Like, make sure you have enough resources to support you, and that can be working with a therapist to help you kind of process out those personal experiences and feelings that come up when you're considering your value and your worth in the context of applying for jobs. It can be having that family or friend who they don't even know anything about what you do for work, but they're in your corner, and they love you and they care about you and they want to see you happy. It can be those modern tech tools, right? We use those voice apps, those notes. Sometimes you don't feel like sitting down to write that email. So, record that voice note, go take a walk around the block, put your kid in your little carrier and talk into the phone, if that's what it takes to kind of get, that additional sort of resource to get something out of your head. Talk with other job seekers, talk with mentors and peers, listen to webinars, do some on-demand courses, like just have a variety, because, in the process of that job search, you're going to have a lot of different feelings, thoughts, experiences, and keeping your resources on tap that are kind of full allows you to have the right one at the right time to help you process. I think that goes a long way for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think hold on to your tribe, like keep them close, keep them nearby. They're supporting you. And I think especially if you have folks that are also looking for jobs, they understand they're dealing with the same thing you're dealing with, just in a different way based on what they're looking for. And I also think, connect with people that aren't necessarily in your field, because they have also been through the job search and they may also be connected to other people that they can connect you to. Like, it's just believe in the power of connections, because it works. It definitely works. Attending conferences and going to networking events that are focused and aligned in spaces that you're interested in, even if it's not necessarily the job you're looking for, but the type of people that you're trying to connect with, so that you can get connected to some of those other spaces that align with the type of work you're looking for. I think that's incredibly important. And it has definitely paid off for me. I think, even like I said, starting with freelancing, graduating into actually going into full-time work, but working remotely still, and finding that I landed in spaces I didn't necessarily think about being in, but because of the people that I surrounded myself with and the connections that I made, I was able to learn more about what I actually wanted to do. And I feel like that's the cool thing too. Watching people, being inspired by other people, can make you actually realize, like, maybe I'm aiming too small, or I'm aiming in a direction that's not actually aligned with what I'm feeling right now. Like, it's okay to change your mind. It's okay for that to change for you too.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great way to ground it. And I think it's a perfect kind of segue into like the power of affirmations, right? And, I'm a coach, I work with people, I've been a manager, I've been an individual contributor on teams for many years. And, I'm not like all new agey, like gotta make the poster with the beautiful thing, but it works. It's important to be clear to yourself. I wonder if you could share, we put some of those affirmations in the day one email. We're reminding people, like, It's okay to close the apps, the browsers. It's okay to not answer those messages, turn the things off, like be where you need to be, focus your energy. Would you share a little bit about like, both in the context of job searching, which you've done a lot in the past, as well as here with Black Remote She, the work where you serve, job seekers, like what kinds of affirmations do you remind people about, and kind of how do you help people get grounded, and how do you get grounded?
Yeah, my favorite one is I am worthy of all that I desire. And this one is
that's great. Love that.
This is a big one. And I share this one a lot in the Black Remote She newsletter. But I think that especially because, and another part of the reason why I started Black Remote She, we are often told the type of jobs that will make us successful or what we should be doing based off of, honestly, hyper focusing on salaries and not thinking like, oh, but I want to make sure I'm in a safe space. I want to make sure that I feel seen in the spaces that I'm in with that salary as well. So it's okay for you to ask for all of the things. You want a safe work culture. You're not asking for too much. You want a high salary. You're not asking for too much. You want to have coworkers that you can connect with. You're not asking for too much. Maybe you want to be on a small team. You're not asking for too much. Maybe you want to be on a large team. You're not asking for too much. You are worthy of all that you desire, and you can be as selective as you like to be. I think that takes some of the pressure off of the job search too. When you know what you want and you're going into it knowing like maybe you're looking at the job, it looks great, but you look at the team and maybe it's too big for you. Maybe you're an introvert, and I'm more of an introvert myself. So when I looked for jobs, I was looking for small teams personally. Even in freelancing, I knew I do not want to work with 80 people at once personally. But there are people that absolutely love working with that many people. So I am worthy of all that I desire. Remind yourself when you're looking at jobs, I'm worthy of all that I desire without judgment, without fear, without concerns and opinions of other people. I'm worthy of all that I desire.
I love that. I think that's a fantastic affirmation. And I'm like, I got to put that on my Post-it note right next to my computer.
Write it down.
That's a good one. That is a really, really good one. Yeah, I love that. And I think, for folks who are going through this course, you're going to have your own affirmations. If that one works for you, use it. If you need to add another one, like take the time and the space to do that and kind of set yourself up. Over the next few days, we're really going to dig in on the deep stuff, right? Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about how to structure your job search in stages to really give it some shape. We're going to be sharing and showing you a job tracker so you can really keep your job opportunities like tracked visually and easily. We're going to be talking about the obvious things like creating a resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, things like that. We're going to talk all about preparing for interviews, negotiating, when you get to that offer stage. So we're really going to dig in, but keep those affirmations, kind of there for yourself. Be willing every time you kind of pick up the job search and you pick up one of these sort of courses, mini courses day by day, to just let go of all that other stuff. Keep that affirmation front and center, and just kind of be in a place of support and be in that place of worthiness that you're talking about. I love that.
Yes. I love that when you said just let go of all of the other stuff and hold on to that affirmation, because at some point you have to debrief. At the end of the day, when you're done doing all of the job searching, you have to debrief. So I love how you said that. Awesome.
All right. I think that's what we got for the people. Excited for this. Thanks for taking some time to chat through this kind of day one intro. And we're glad to have you all here. You're part of the community first and foremost. That's the important part that we always emphasize. It's something I admire about your work, Jasmine, is you come from a place of community. And that's what this is all about.
Yes, this is for the community. I will never, never, never stop fighting for y'all. I say that so much in the newsletter as well throughout the year, but never. This is forever. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And thank you for signing up for the series. I hope that you find it to be fruitful for your job search.
Awesome. We'll see you for day 2, everybody.